Welcome aspiring website builders and creative enthusiasts to Mastering Elementor, the ultimate comprehensive tutorial series. We had a quick understanding about how the Elementor looks like and what are the various sections which are very important to know before you start working on the Elementor. Now in this tutorial we'll see that what are the basic elements of the Elementors. We'll discuss each one of them in detail, how they are used and how you can use them to create a very basic landing page or a web page, whatever your use case is, right? So before we start working on the Elementor, it's very important to understand that how the Elementor structure works, right? So here you can see there is the name of the page available, demo page. Just for the sake of the tutorial, let's start with a blank slate and let's remove the name of the page here. So in the last tutorial I mentioned that you can easily do that by going on the settings section, which is in the bottom left. Then when you go there, you can see an option to hide the title. Once you enable it, you can see that the page title is no longer visible on the page. Now once we are done with this, you can see that there is a dotted box, a box with a dotted outline. You can see so this is basically a section where you can start choosing the which type of layout you want to go with in order to work on the elements, right? So here you can see a plus option. When you click on that plus option, you have some options available to you, and you can see what type of structure do you want when you are creating that particular section. So this structure is not fixed for the complete page but is limited to only one section. So for example, if I want to have the first section which is divided into two columns, I can easily select a 2-column layout. Now if I want that below this 2-column layout I want to have a single column layout, then I can again go to plus icon, select the single column layout, and you can see these different sections are stacked upon one another, right? So let's delete the second layout for right now, and let's quickly see that how 2 columns layout will be will look like in terms of look and feel, right? So we have selected 2-column layout, and now these columns are equally divided in terms of the width of each column. You can also alter that width. In order to do that, you have to click on this option, split icon, in the first column. Once you do that, the edit column properties open up, right? So now we are editing this particular column, which is highlighted here in the black dotted line, right? So these are the properties of these particular column. You can always select what should be the column width of this particular column. You can always select what will be the vertical alignments of different elements in this column. Then you can also select what will be the horizontal alignment in this particular column. So if you are not clear about vertical alignment and horizontal alignment, don't worry, when we start adding elements in this column you'll get some more understanding about it. I'll show you a practical example of this, right? So then we have an option which is called widget space, where you can whether you can enter a particular value, and that particular space will be distributed between the different elements available in this column. Then you have a styling section. So styling, as the name suggests, you can change the look and feel of this column. If you want to add a background color, so if you want to add a background type, let's say, you can do so. You can either select on the classic. So when you click on the classic option, you see that either you can change the background color. So for example, I select any color from the palette here. Whatever color I choose, you can see that color is reflected in the background of this particular column, right? Then if I don't want to have a color in the background, I either want to have an image, I can also do those. So this is a section where I can easily upload an image and select that particular image as the background of this column. Then I can also add some scrolling effects, mouse effects. Let's not go there right now because this is just a very basic tutorial. We'll explore these advanced options later when we start working on some mini projects. If you start focusing on these options right now, you'll be very much confused. So if you are a very beginner, let's just skip these parts for right now. Then you can also add a background overlay. So overlay is basically an additional layer of a color or something else over the background image or the color which you already have. So if you want to add that, you can do so with this option. Then you can also add a border to this particular column. So right now the border default setting border type is none. If I want to add a border, I can, let's say I want to add a solid border, I can select that. I'll set the width of the border, then I will set up the color of the border. So right now the border is not visible because there is no elements. So let's just, for the sake of it, add a single element, which is a text element. So once I add that, I collapse the editing screen. You can see the black border is also added to this particular column. Now editing this particular column again, because we were just understanding that, I'll click on the split icon again and see edit column is visible. So right now we are editing this particular column. So we were in the border section. So if I increase the border width, you will see that the border width is increasing based on any value which I enter here. So this you can see a link icon here. So if this link icon means if this is selected, which is selected right now, if you change any of the value, like whether it's a top border, right border, bottom right border, or a left border, each value will change accordingly. But if I unselect this option, now if I change the top width, it is not affecting right, bottom and left width. So this is the purpose of this link icon. Then you can also set the border radius if you want to. Let's add a border radius of 30 pixel. So you can see border radius is also added. Then you can also add some shadow to your box, and you can also add a typography, which is not required right now, I guess. Look and feel of the column, a particular column. Then if you go to the advanced section, in the advanced section you can set some parameters for the column. You can add the margin, or you can add a padding, right? So what is margin, what is padding, I'll not explain that in this particular tutorial, because I think that will make the video very much longer. You can search that separately and learn more about margin and padding, but giving you just a short brief, padding basically and margin basically adds some space between the border and the elements of your column, right? So I'll just give you a quick look and feel that how if I add some padding or a margin, how it looks like. You will get a basic understanding, but to understand this in detail, you can always Google it. So let's say so again this link icon is there. So if I enter any value in this, let's say top padding section, I add 10 padding. So this 10 padding will be added to right padding, bottom padding and left padding as well. Let's change the value from 10 to 50. So you see, so this is the element. So 50 pixel gap is again here available from the left, from the top, from the right 50 pixel gap is there, and from the bottom 50 pixel gap is set up. So this is what padding does in a very brief way, right? So this was about customizing the column. So you can customize the column based on whatever design you are creating, right? So everything depends upon the design which you are replicating. So later in the later videos of the tutorial, we'll be creating some mini projects. You have to remember these use cases by then, and then I think when we start implementing these learnings in the mini projects, you will get a better understanding, right? So this was about editing a column. Similarly, you can also add the entire section which is highlighted in the blue border right now. If you click on these 6 dots, you see similar layout opens up for this particular complete layout, right? You can set the content width, you can add column gap, you can set the height of this section, you can set the vertical alignment, you can set the overflow, etc. Then if I go on the style, you can change the look and feel of this entire blue section, which the section which is highlighted in the blue border, right? And it goes similarly what we discussed for styling a particular column, right? This is the basic layout which you will see across Elementor for different elements. There is an option for layout, there is an option for styling, which basically changes the look and feel. Layout basically changes the alignment and the various non-look and feel related elements, and the advanced options helps you edit the margin, edit the padding, do some CSS, additional CSS if you want to, do some motion effects and responsive, which is something which you should learn later when you learn the basic level of Elementor, right? So yeah, so this was it. This is how the basic structure of Elementor works. In the next tutorial, we'll understand we'll understand these basic elements. We'll drag and drop each one of them and see how these each elements work. We'll cover the basic elements in the next tutorial. If you like this video, please make sure that you like it and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for other videos coming next in this Elementor Masterclass series.